What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. Today we have yet another game review here in the year 2020, and this one is going to be for the reveal of NHL 21, or rather the release of NHL 21, and we're going to grade it much like we have on all of the other videos or video games that we've graded and videos we've done. We're going to grade this on 10 different categories. We're going to go ahead and get into some of the positives and negatives of the game. We're going to give it a grade, and then we're going to assess whether this game is actually worth your money or not, or worth buying. Okay, and that is one of the most important services that I think I can provide for you guys, is to provide some insight into whether a game is actually worth purchasing or not, to save you some time in making your decision, or at least to help aid in making your decision. So with that being said, we're going to follow a similar format to the other ones that we've done. I'm going to try to make this video a little bit shorter than the Madden video, because that one was, I would say, a little excessively long. But the categories we're going to review it on today are the presentation of the game, the actual gameplay presentation, the soundtrack, the music, the gameplay itself, the variety of the game, the franchise mode, the HUT mode, World of Chell and EASHL, kind of all wrapped up in one, be a pro, the longevity of the game, and then, like I said, we're going to give it an overall grade. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it, and we'll talk about the first thing, the first topic that I actually want to address, which is the presentation of the game. So one thing that I will say is that this game does, at a surface level, look very much like a copy of NHL 20. The menu is pretty much the same. A lot of the pause menus, cut menus, they've all been the same thing for years, and there hasn't been much change to them. I will say that they did introduce a nice feature last year, or it might have even been earlier than that, where you can pin 3 game modes here to your main page that you want to access and be able to access easily. Then you can scroll down and access the other menus. These menus are exactly the same as they were before, and they might be dolled up a little bit. They look a little bit sleeker, a little bit cleaner. A lot of the presentation of the game, I will say, does look a bit sleeker and a bit cleaner than it has in prior years. But what I will say is that the ability to pin your top 3 game modes up here at the top is by far one of the best options that you can have from a game. I wish that other developers would follow this suit for sports games. I wish that you could, have at your fingertips what you want to have at your fingertips, and then if you want to go out and find something else and dive into a different game mode, you can. It's not too difficult to get down here to it, but it's not right there in your face, and it's not cluttering up the screen for you. You're only seeing what you want to see. So with that being said, I think we should also talk about maybe a little bit of the fact that that things look cleaner and sleeker. So as you guys can see, whenever you click into a couple different menus and things like this, you're going to get nicer pictures going on. Whenever I click into the Penguins, for example, it's going to bring up an actual player, an actual sim player, I guess I should say. This menu to me looks a lot cleaner, a lot more modern, and it's very sleek. It's not overdone, it's not over the top, it's not like Madden, Fortnite, and how I reviewed Madden this year. It is very clean, it's very straightforward, it's very sleek, and it's very nice looking. And so from that perspective, I think that they did improve, and I want to say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So their menu is one of the few menus in all of sports games that, in my opinion, isn't crappy looking. It's very clear, very easy to get to what you want to get to. And for that, I have to give the presentation in this game an A-. There's obviously room for improvement, and one of those areas for improvement would be having the option to customize this main screen a little bit further, maybe putting in a 4th option or a 5th option, or a couple different ways to customize it for yourself. There's always room for improvement, but I'm nitpicking at that point to find anything wrong with it. Realistically speaking, the presentation of this game itself gets an A-. Now the next category we're going to talk about is gameplay presentation. The gameplay presentation here this year is actually pretty much the same as last year. Personally speaking, I find that the crowd looks a little bit improved. The gameplay presentation looks pretty much the same. The scoreboard looks good. It always looks good in NHL. And essentially, the only note here is that there's, in my opinion, no major improvements from previous years. Now, this could change over time, and what I want to kind of emphasize here in this review is that this is an early review. So, as gameplay progresses, as they maybe make updates to the game, things might be able to change, and my opinions might change. So, my score on this is going to range a little bit depending on how this goes. This score for this game could go up or down depending on how I feel a little bit down the road. But with that being said, like I said, no major improvements to the gameplay presentation, but the gameplay presentation isn't bad, so I give it a grade of a B. I'm going to give a grade of a B. Madden, I ranked it a B-, and that was primarily based off of the fact that they only had 18 songs. This game has 23 songs. All of the songs are songs that I don't mind. They're not bad to listen to. I have to turn them off for video's sake, so I just leave the songs off after I've listened to them for the first couple times. But I can't fault them too much because they did actually give us 23 songs, which is an impressive number compared to some other sports games. Personally speaking, I think we're in the year 2020. You should be able to have more than 23 songs, and that's why I give them a B still, because you could do much better than that, in my opinion, even if you're coming in with some more generic songs that aren't going to cost you a lot of money to get the rights to. The next category that we're going to talk about, and if I didn't make it clear there, I want to reiterate that I gave the music a B, and the soundtrack a B, rather. So the next one that I want to talk about is the gameplay. The gameplay to me plays almost exactly the same as it did in the past. As I've played more and more of the gameplay, in Be a Pro and Play Now, and I've gotten a little bit into the franchise mode, I want to kind of emphasize the fact that there are some minor improvements that make the game feel a little bit more fresh. So some of the things that we would be good to talk about would be the improvements to player physics. There are a lot more times where you'll see players get tripped up and falling over and doing different types of animations that weren't in the game before that feel a lot more realistic than they did in the past. A couple of things to note here, though. The AI still plays pretty dumb, in my opinion. The defenders play dumb. The attackers, when they have the puck themselves, play pretty dumb. So that, mainly affects Be a Pro mode. That affects EASHL whenever the CPU players have the puck. They don't seem to play very intelligently, and that's kind of a problem for me. And a couple other notes here is that it's not necessarily a bad thing that the game plays the same as prior years, because the gameplay last year was improved. It was pretty good. But what I will say is that I think that the game still is unrealistic from the aspect that there just simply isn't the same type of board play that you get in real NHL. The game itself, NHL 21, is more skill stick based. It's not really about passing and strategy, and it doesn't require you to think a lot. It is more just about who can do the fancier skill moves and basically deke people out. And that is what determines whether you get wins or not. And in my opinion, I would like to see a more simulation style of hockey, something a little bit more true to real life. So with that being said, I'm going to give the gameplay a B because it is pretty good. Like I said, no major improvements there either, but certainly a lot of room for improvement in terms of it becoming a legitimate simulation and a reflection of real life. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is variety, and I only have 1 point here on variety. Whenever I get into the other game modes, you'll understand what I'm talking about here. Essentially, to preface my point, is I want to say the franchise mode this year is improved. Be a Pro Career is improved. I'm pretty sure that they've improved World of Chell and EASHL, but I have not had the opportunity to get a significant amount of playing time in there. But I think all of their gameplay has been improved, and it's going to allow for increased longevity of the game and good variety. But my 1 point is very simple. They still don't have connected franchise mode. They still don't have connected GM. And it's something that a large portion of the fan base has been asking for a long time. And I'm sorry, it was taken out of the game, in my opinion, for an invalid reason. Personally speaking, I don't think that they should have ever taken it out of the game. And the fact that it hasn't yet been added back to the game, especially after all of the backlash and all of the demand, is just simply inexcusable to me. And so from a general perspective, the variety of this game is actually pretty good, and I would give it a good grade. And so I want to make that clear to you guys that if you guys don't care about connected franchise or connected GM, then this point is invalid to you. It doesn't matter. And so take that into account when you're considering whether you should buy the game or not. But for me, having a connected mode like that to play with my friends and be able to build a dynasty with my friends is the most important thing in a sports game. And so from that perspective, I give the variety of this game a C-. That's where I'm giving them the negative points for not having connected franchise mode. So take that into account. Take that with a grain of salt whenever you guys are considering buying the game. Now we're going to get on to the game modes. We're going to talk about franchise mode a little bit. So franchise mode, they've added a lot of improvements this year. It's going to feel much refreshed to you guys. There's a lot of new tools, new scouting mechanics, and other various franchise-related mechanics with hiring and firing of staff members and everything. There's the fog of war mechanic. You guys can read up on the various additions to franchise mode. They are significant and they are very important. They're going to certainly increase the playability and the longevity of franchise mode, so a lot of welcome additions there. So franchise mode for me gets a B+. They didn't make some of the additions that I would have liked them to. They didn't take it to the next level. This isn't an off-the-charts franchise mode, and again, they don't have the connected options, so it's not going to get into that A category, but it is going to get a B+ because it is pretty solid. The next one we're going to talk about is Hockey Ultimate Team. Hockey Ultimate Team, again, to me, take this with a grain of salt. I'm not an Ultimate Team guy. I feel like it's a ripoff. It is kind of a waste of time for the developers because it's just a money grab for them. Personally speaking, Hockey Ultimate Team for me doesn't offer a whole lot. It's pretty much the same as last year. It's too easy to build a good team. The matchmaking sucks in it, so Hockey Ultimate Team is a throwaway game mode for me, but it's a decent game mode in itself if you're into that type of thing, so Hockey Ultimate Team gets a C. The next game mode that I'm going to talk about is EASHL, or the World of Chell in general. So clicking into here, I want to say a couple things. There's a few game modes in here that, in my personal opinion, I've never met anybody that wanted these game modes to begin with. The only game mode in the World of Hockey or whatever it's called here, the only game mode that I've ever met anybody care about here in this is the EASHL. You're going to get into here and there's, the Pro-Am, the 1s, the 3s, and I've never met anybody that actually gives a crap about any of those game modes, and they continue to devote time and effort to those game modes whenever they really don't mean anything. So that is one huge point for me, is that they're dedicating time and effort to game modes that I've personally never seen anybody care about, and so that is a detractor for me. But what I will say is that they did add some improvements to EASHL where you can play with your friends, and they now have the practice mode. They have some improvements made to the game mode, so that is a positive thing to see. So from that perspective, I give the whole group of, the World of Chell and EASHL, 1s, 3s, all that stuff grouped together is going to get a C from me because it's just unnecessary, in my personal opinion. The next one I'm going to talk about is Be a Pro, and this is what everybody's been waiting for. This is essentially taking the place, all of the upgrades they did here with Be a Pro is taking the place of a connected franchise mode. This is what they put a lot of their time and effort into this year, and boy, did they do a fantastic job with it. Be a Pro mode is absolutely going to carry this game this year for a lot of people that are looking for a more immersive experience, something that is going to keep you engaged for a longer period of time. So my notes here on the Be a Pro mode, you get a choice of where to start whenever you're starting, which is always nice. You're able to build up your personal brand. You're able to have all these dialogue options that influence, what type of a player you are. It's going to influence your playing time and how you're seen by your coaches, your teammates. All these different things are going to be interwoven together, which is really nice. You even get in-game challenges and in-game dialogue options with the coaches, which I find to be very very entertaining. So a very, very intriguing Be a Pro mode so far, and I personally can't get enough of it from what I've seen from other people's videos. I enjoy watching it quite a bit, so highly recommend that you guys check out the Be a Pro mode as one of your first things you do when you get on this game, because it is going to absolutely carry this game this year. Fantastic mode, and I'm not ashamed to say that early on I give Be a Pro career mode an A+. It is by far the best improvement to a sports game I've seen in a while. I would highly like to see games like Madden add in an in-depth Be a Pro mode like this to their games. One thing that I will say, though, is that this is really just bringing the career mode up to kind of on par with like NBA and games like that and MLB. It is very similar to those games, I would say. So I will preface this, or I don't want to say preface it because we're saying this after, but I will say that in addition to giving it that A+, next year it's not going to get the same grade if they don't continue to build upon it. This is one of the big issues of game developers, is they see all this success come from adding a good game mode or adding these improvements, and then they fail to build upon it the next year. They need to build upon this game mode going forward, because it's not perfect. It's not the best career mode out there, but it gets an A+ because of how much it is improved from what it used to be. That's why I'm giving it that grade. And then the last grade that we're going to talk about here is the longevity of the game. Like I said, Be a Pro career mode is going to carry this game this year. Franchise mode is going to be refreshed and more entertaining. And then on top of that, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that the EASHL should be better this year, especially with the practice mode. You can do a lot more. I think that this game is going to be more entertaining for people for a longer period of time, and it's going to be more entertaining to a wider range of people. So in that respect, I give the longevity of this game a B. Overall, that equates to an overall grade of an 84.4 for this game, which I'm going to say is a B. So personally speaking, I would say based on that rating that this game is worth your money, but what I want to do is I want to preface that by saying that we have a bit of a range that I want to give for this game. This game has the potential to get an 89 grade, which would be a B+, which would make it well worth your money. But if we continue to play this game and we see that there are more bugs and more issues, and it really is still kind of the same game as last year, it could range as low as a 79, which would be borderline not worth your money. So I want to put that asterisk in there, that there is a bit of a range here for what this game can actually be this year, but I do want to say that the potential is there, and so far from what I've seen, this is a pretty good game. It does have that one major knock against it, that they haven't added the game mode that people want to see, which is connected GM or connected franchise mode. Once they add that, NHL has the potential to be one of the best, if not the best, sports games on the market. So they need to really add that going forward. Hopefully they will have that on the next gen. With all that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I want to shout out to Diamond King 5923. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's, I believe, currently streaming on Twitch more than he's uploading to YouTube. He's going to be providing a lot of NHL content, a lot of stuff similar to what I've provided. He's going to be doing his HUT, his Be a Pro career and franchise mode and EASHL and all those different things. So if you guys want to see any content for that, highly recommend you guys go check him out. With that being said, make sure you guys drop a like on the video if you like to see this content, like to see my reviews and see my opinions on these things. Comment down below with what you guys would like to see next, any videos you guys would like to see, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope you guys have a good night.